YouTube and other places
around the world. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us today for episode number 25 with special guest Sean O'Hara. Today, we're going to talk about lots of interesting topics like the Chicago Tattoo Convention Review, NFTs a little bit, and more. We'll be hearing from Sean at about 1:30, so stay tuned. If y'all are watching us on YouTube, Facebook, or the Reinventing the Tattoo website, let us know that all the streams are working in the chat, or tag a friend who loves tattoos and would like to join in on some of our fun this morning. You guys can check out some of the other Reinventing weekly drawing groups and shows on the Reinventing Network as well. I want to say thank you again to our sponsors for helping us push cool content out to you guys all the time. World Tattoo Events, giving us the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events in the world. Thank you to Raw Pigments with their acrylic-free pigments, and D-Lies Pro, helping artists and clients protect their art. Also want to say thank you to our affiliates, Fireside Tattoo, The Apprenticeship Diaries, and EcoFriendlyTattooSupplies.com. Without any further ado, let's bring in our hosts, Gabe Ripley and Jake Meeks. How's it going today, y'all? It's a beautiful Monday morning. You wanna let's show your faces.
Oh, I think you see us, or at least we should be going out. Let us know in the chat rooms if this is working for you, where you're beaming in from, and maybe tag a friend who's either interested in tattoos, art, or in this case, NFTs. I'm wicked excited to be chatting with Sean today. He's I was saying to Jake earlier, the person that I've known the longest in the tattoo world. I swear, yeah. Crazy. From like 93, 94, 93.
Wow.
Okay. I was a little tyke at that point.
Oh,
I'm trying. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to pull up to see if this thing is streaming on Fireside. No, but I don't see it.
Yeah. So I met Sean. Let's see. I got my very first tattoo in a biker shop in New Haven, Papillons. I'm not going to tell the story of my very first one, but so I got my first one there. I'll tell it later. I've told it in Drunk Critique. It's pretty fun. It's a good one. It's a dove. I'll tell it. It's a dove for peace, and actually it ties into one of the things that we'll be talking about later, which is the Drunk Critique. We'll be doing this Sunday. We'll be doing a benefit for Ukraine. It's just horrifying to see what's going on, and it's hard to know what to do. But we have one of the co-hosts, Rain, is from the Ukraine, from Kyiv. I don't know if I pronounced it right, but she, anyways, so my very first tattoo was a dove for peace, but then two or three tattoos later, I found Sean when I realized you're supposed to actually find good tattooers. Anyways, I'm Gabe from Tattoo Now, and I'm excited to talk to Sean, who got me into tattoos.
Jake, you want to introduce before we roll the clip?
Absolutely. I'm Jake from the Fireside Tattoo Network. I'm also excited to talk to Sean because I've never met him before. Well, I met him briefly for about 30 seconds right before we went live here. So so firesidetattoo.com. Gabe's helping us to make our to make your experience with Fireside a little bit more navigatable. So we're excited about kind of a new launch and reintroducing a lot of stuff that we've done in years past, and continue to put out new stuff. So go to firesidetattoo.com, sign up for our newsletter. Keep up with us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'm Lauren with Reinventing the Tattoo and Raw Pigments, and I'm going to go ahead and roll our clip, and let's get started here soon.
All right. Can either of you guys tell if we're doing out on Fireside? I can't get it to pull up on mine.
Let me check it out. I'll test that as you guys get started.
Yeah. So Lauren, you had a late night and a late drive. What was your weekend?
Yeah, so I live in the Midwest, relatively close to the Chicago Tattoo Convention. So we drove, got the whole vehicle packed up with all the equipment, and we left last night rather than this morning. So it was very big. It was a lot of people. I saw a lot of interesting characters, to say the least. One of my favorites would be Dana and Dot out of Cincinnati. They have an incredible collection. They were kind of showing me a few of their things that they have. So I definitely got to take a nice stroll down memory lane. His peak interest is 1920s and before. So he's got a lot of really, really interesting pieces in flash and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Overall, the convention was great. We had 4 artists working in our booth. We had a joke ongoing that it was leg day, all day, every day. We had Edwin Ramirez. He worked on a 3-day leg piece from ankle to top of the hip.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys that in a little bit. We also had Emmanuel Fortunato. He was working on a woman. She was super great. She flew in from Washington, but she's Ukrainian. So we got to have some interesting conversations there, and she got a really big Metallica portrait on the top of her thigh.
Oh, wow.
A 2.5-day piece.
Ooh.
And the last artist, Jeremy Brown, or the second to last artist, he worked same thing, ankle to hip. 3 days, his client was hating him at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had like kind of the opposite, Josh Moon, where he booked in advance and he had 4 or 5 tattoos every single day, which I was really interested to see how his process goes, because a lot of times artists will attempt that in a city they've never been. And it can be a lot to manage with that many people you haven't met and making them come on time. But I thought he did a really great job with that.
Yeah. Whew, yeah, that's all of that sounds rough, but definitely the 4 or 5 a day, that's so stressful to me.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, super cool. Well, I spent last week in Asheville, North Carolina. Actually, I stayed in Asheville, Black Mountain, but I taught a 2-day workshop in Harrisburg. No, oh crap, something like that. Harrisburg, just a suburb of Asheville, basically, at Continuum Gallery. Katie Montez owns that shop. It is super cool. They just opened it. It's like, God, it's got to be 10,000 square feet.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, it's crazy. It's like they have these private kind of artist booths. They have this big gallery. They have like a concert kind of venue space. And then upstairs, there's a loft where I taught the workshop. It was perfect. And yeah, this place it's nuts. Like the town is super cool. It's very walkable. Like there's a little pub next door that's like a brew pub. There's all types of like restaurants in walking distance. I told her that I would talk to you guys. She wants to host events there. I was like, oh, this town is perfect for that. I don't know, like as far as hotels and staying there, but I had maybe a 20-minute drive from Asheville each morning to her, which wasn't very bad. I'm sure there are places in her town. It's not, is it Hendersonville? Man. Continuum Gallery. Look that up on Instagram. You'll find it. It's just outside of Asheville, but definitely.
It looks great.
It's so cool, man. Like she and her husband have they killed it. They built out the entire place. It's so nice. The show that they have up right now there in their gallery is amazing. I wish I could remember the artist's name. 2 artists from both from Europe, and I wanted to buy everything there. It was.
Oh, wow.
It was so good, so nice, such a great time, great group. I had like 6 or 8 people. I thought it was going to be more, but we had like 6 or 8 people, and that was perfect. We had like 2 apprentices that were just starting their apprenticeships, and then a couple of artists that were very skilled that could draw really, really well. And so it was fun to try to like do that find your style thing and manage different skill levels, over 2 days. It was cool. I had a blast.
It's Hendersonville, you're right.
Hendersonville. All right. I knew it was.
Yep. And it's a little slow to load, but if you guys look it up, continuumartnc.com, and that gives you a nice, pretty good analysis of how they're rolling with things. It looks amazing. And the concept is spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. Super cool. And they just keep taking over more space. I think they have a basement now. They're going to do like a clay studio, all kinds of stuff. So it's really like, it's definitely like a destination kind of spot. And that whole, like all those little mountain towns in North Carolina, Asheville being the biggest one, but like there's so many little towns because they can't spread out like we do here in Memphis, where it's just flat and you can just, the city goes on forever. Everything's like secluded in little pockets, and they all have their own little like communities and stuff. Such a cool part of the country.
It's
agree with
beautiful,
you.
and it was basically artisan. Like the aristocratic or the oligarchs of the time down there bring in like all the amazing artisans to make this really awesome, their mansions and whatnot. And then of course they were all sitting or hanging out in town and making the stuff in town pretty damn cool too. And it's like a generational art community kind of a thing going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. You're exactly right. It is. Yeah, it's super cool. Super cool.
Yeah, she had mentioned, we had chatted with her a little bit at some point, but yeah, hopefully it'd be great. It sounds like, things are opening up again too. It's not trivial, as we know, it's not trivial running events.
Yeah. And there, I mean, her space is perfect. The only question for me, if we were trying to do something that brought people from around the country, is lodging, and transportation. That's really the trouble.
All that stuff is just logistical, though. We could fix that.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Gabe? What was your weekend?
So I've been putting together the drunk critique. I'm basically just working on all the upcoming, little mini events that we're doing. The drunk critique took a turn to be a benefit. I was talking with Bob a week or so ago, and I'm like, hey, maybe we should make this a benefit for the Ukraine. He was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And Rain, I don't know if anybody knows Rain Del Mar. She's an awesome artist out of currently in New York at 10,000 Foxes Queens, I believe. I knew that she was kind of from that neck of the woods. I got in touch with her. She's actually from the Ukraine. Was already running benefits, is helping run a benefit down there at 10,000 Foxes, and so became like a natural connection to make. So let me actually show up some of her art. I don't know, this is all the Ukrainian themed, right? So it's all her art colored Ukrainian colors.
Yeah.
But she's been on 2 previous drunk critiques. She's a fantastic illustrator and tattooer. I think I may have met her up at the Illustrator Masters class. She's taken that a couple times, but definitely in like the illustrator vein of the tattooers. And it's just horrendous what's going on. It's hard to know what to do, but yeah, so we're going to have an outlet. We'll be doing raffles, and people can like donate to buy Bob a drink, or to get particular critiques potentially. We're looking for like guest judges. It's literally forming as we speak. I was talking to her this morning, and we have somebody that's actually going to write up a pretty good professional press release. We're turning this around. This is December the 27th. It's next Sunday.
Next Sunday. Okay. And I'm flying back. I'd love to be a part of it. I'm flying back from getting tattooed by Andy Chambers up in Virginia on Sunday. I don't know if I'll have internet or not, but I would love to donate something from Fireside to be, if you're doing an auction or something like that.
Yeah, we'll figure out a couple. We are figuring out a couple different ways too, and we'll also set it up just as so it'll be easy for like guest judges to kind of beam in too, as opposed to the 5-6 hour marathons that we have done.
What time is it going to be?
People. It starts at 5 Eastern.
Okay, that may not be bad. I think I don't fly out until fairly late, like 6 or 7 that night. So maybe I could find a bar somewhere and join in for a little while if you guys are down
from the airport bar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rain's. Well, you can check out some of the previous drunk critique she was on, and I have one of them in the vault that is the illustrator's version. You know what? Actually, let's chat a little bit. I might have a little bit of time. We'll move on, and if I could, I think I found it recently.
Okay.
I could fire up a little bit. It had like Dan Dos Santos was in it. He's amazing.
While we're on the topic of benefits as well, I work with an artist named Coral, and she works in New York City at 8th New York City. And Pony Lawson was involved, Taz Tattoo, and a slew of other artists. And over a 3-day span, I believe that amount of time, they raised $70,000 for Ukraine.
Nice.
And she's Ukrainian, and she's posted some pretty motivational and moving like videos promoting it. But I was really, really, proud to see such an amazing turnout for them. It was last week. Awesome. I posted it on our Instagram. It's on hers as well, Coral Tattoo, as well as everyone else that was a part of it. Thank you guys so much. It was really pretty amazing. Pretty amazing turnout.
Do you guys know where when you're raising money for Ukraine, like where you're actually sending it? So I mean, it seems like maybe Poland could use it more than anyone. I don't know where, I mean, with it being in such disarray, I wonder where.
Yeah, for this one in particular, was going to the Razan organization. It's a charity project that supports Ukrainian refugees displaced by war. So each artist has a separate raffle, and they bid on the artist a free tattoo, and there was 13 artists. So
Nice.
it's pretty interesting, but that's great because you don't want to put funds in the wrong place, or it's the Razan organization. Thank you guys very much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for this one, Rain has already identified a couple of the appropriate benefits. I did go to Dmitry Samohin's page, and they're accepting Bitcoin. Wherever he was linking to has got like if you're a Bitcoin donator, there's some links there too.
Interesting.
But I think he's rated there in the thick of all that. I don't know for sure, but
a topic we got on in my workshop last week was the Russian kind of tattooers and whether or not what they are actually able to see on through Instagram. I know we went and looked for a couple and that people in the class knew, and they had either like stopped posting or said they were taking a break, something kind of cryptic in their messages. And I just wonder what's if you guys have any idea what's happening with their kind of
I've been WhatsApping with one Russian at least, and when I was like, wow, I'm surprised you're actually able to WhatsApp, I thought that Facebook and whatnot went down, and he's like, it did, but maybe they're keeping some of the communications open. But it's definitely getting pretty it's clearly pretty hairy.
Yeah, we do work. It's an odd thing because we work and really like and support the artists that we work with in Russia. We have 4 or 5 that are part of our team, and it was we haven't really had communication at all with any of them. One artist has been posting stories, but I'm not sure exactly how she's doing that, if she's in another network or out of the country, but it's been pretty cut off.
Yeah.
We work with a supplier as well in Ukraine, and it was at a terrible point in time that they've got one perspective. There's a Russian perspective, of course, but we still, without fully understanding every single side of the story, it wouldn't be like right in my mind not to, check on them and see how they're doing and all that good stuff. But the perspectives are vastly different. I've seen some interesting posts online where it's a lot of back and forth with Russian tattooer, one in particular. So I hope that can all calm down and people can get on the same page, because the tattoo community, they really aren't enemies at all, but what is going on is super horrible. So it's definitely in need of a nice balance. Yeah.
It's something that it's like a perspective that we have now that, that in past wars that, I've never known anyone in a war-torn country or kept up with them or knew anything about their families or anything like that. And with tattooing and social media over the last, 8 or 10 years or so, I find, you follow so many artists from around the world, and it's crazy to have like actual lives to put with what you're seeing on CBS or whatever. It's like, wow, like I know real people that are over there. I mean, I know them personally, but I keep up with them. And then when they kind of disappear, whenever they're fed different information than you're fed, and it's just different. It's different than any other experience in my life with because of how close we are with how intertwined our lives are through social media these days.
Sure. I think that it's finding a good balance when we realize that like you said, we're different information that we're given, but still tattooers are tattooers. I'm sure they're still great, amazing people as well. Nothing has changed in that regard. So yeah. Lots of stuff. That's great, Gabe, that you guys are putting that together. I'm really happy to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll have the press release hopefully by tomorrow. And yes, and I mean, drunk critique ends up being like a marathon anyways, but yeah, be able to help it become a benefit to be able to use that, use that time even more wisely. I think we'll make the headache the next day more worth it. We might even keep it as a thing, a roaming benefit or something, because but it'll be fun. So, and if you're interested in getting critiqued, if you're a tattooer or an apprentice, then yeah, stay tuned. Get on like the reinventing or the Tattoo Now mailing list. There'll be actually one of the sections that we have is before you fuck it up, so that tattooers can send in their designs for critique before they start the tattoos.
Nice, great idea. Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Speaking of benefits, Gabe, we didn't touch last week, I don't believe, on the benefit course or the business course that you and I are.
Yeah, I've got that. That is the other thing that I'm working on right after this list.
Okay.
It's so starting on this Wednesday, for the reinventing the tattoo business class, we're going to start going through bi-weekly on Wednesdays. Actually, I think we're going to shift it to noon and go through all the pieces, parts of a business plan in the context of a benefit event. And actually, I have got it all mapped out in one of my books here. Which will be great. Some of the sections we might dive into more than others, because this is a particular event that we'll be doing. But it needs every section, including like the financial section, the marketing section, the organizational chart, and yeah, it'll be fun. So and between you and there's another fellow, Joshua, who's helping to organize the crazy archive of content that we have for tattoo businesses. We're going to start putting it in order, and we're going to take everybody through it. Actually, clearly also very inspired by the recent work on guys reinventing the tattoo evolve, where everyone kind of goes through it together. Now we could actually now we have headspace and a model of what's working, so we'll be able to do the same thing with the business stuff. And,
nice. And when is that?
Perfect.
You said you're doing that Wednesday. Are you guys doing something each Wednesday?
Every other Wednesday. So we're doing the Tattoo Now show every Wednesday. So I'm streaming every Wednesday, and then every other Wednesday, the Tattoo Now show will be preceded by the Reinventing the Tattoo Business class, where we'll again, we go over probably about a half hour of webinar, seminar, workshop stuff, then Q&A. And potentially guests. We have, often we bring in guests or have brought in guests, and we have the new scheduling software. I'm hoping, I don't want to talk about it too much, but I am going to be bringing in some business experts outside of the tattoo world once a month too. So that once a month, the Q&A is led by a tattooer. The other is led by some other awesome person, maybe a client. Maybe we have, awesome business, oriented clients, but yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. So then, maybe in 4 months, we'll have a coordinated benefit that people in the business class will all have, the vision, skills, tools, and discipline necessary to get to the follow-up stage, which is where it's fun. Actually, we have in reinventing. We were talking about Evolve. We did our satisfaction surveys, we got our feedback, and a lot of it was great feedback. There was some good constructive criticism, but I realized I was like, ooh, getting this far to have that mechanism in place so that we're getting, dozens and dozens and dozens of feedback forms from people is very exciting. So the next the next iteration is going to be even that much better. It's fucking great. And all the artists are awesome. I mean, how it works, the artists that are dedicated to bettering themselves on a routine basis they just keep getting better. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to keep up with that. I've always liked I love bringing in folks from outside of a particular industry to offer insight, into that, into that industry, or ideas that could be applicable. That's really kind of where we started our entire channel, was bringing ideas from fine art and painting into tattooing. That was basically where it came from, and evolved from there. So
awesome. Well, and you're a beneficiary. You've been doing like the real world masterminds and whatnot.
Yeah, I've been a member of Strategic Coach for years now. So I before the pandemic, I go quarterly up to Toronto and sit with about 15 or 20 different entrepreneurs, and all of them are in one coach, and it's awesome, man. None of them are tattooers, obviously. It's like I'm definitely the odd man out there. They all run financial businesses, insurance, so all different types of businesses. But but the cool thing about them is everyone has reached just the prerequisites to become a member of the group. Everyone has reached a certain level of success in business, so that we're kind of solving a lot of the same problems. Putting the right people in place, trying to focus on your unique abilities and things like that, and and finding other people who do other things well, and developing processes. And it's fun. I really learn a lot every time I'm there.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm always a little jealous when I hear you talk about it. But well, like I said, well, in some ways we'll have our
That's what, yeah,
an in-house version.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if you I think I don't know, you've been streaming while you tattoo, depending on your clients. If the Wednesday spots is there, I mean, you're clearly
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, we whenever we can. I've been doing some streaming as well. It's not always on Wednesdays though. I just try to find a tattoo that I think would be interesting or is at a good point where I could work and talk, at the same time. Sometimes, if I'm really problem solving, I don't want to have to worry about the camera being on.
Right. No, that makes sense. And being focused on well, the tattoo, awesome. But either way, cool. So do you want to read out? We got a couple people here in some of the chat rooms here. I think this might be the which one is this? This is reinventing. Cole Gridley, I believe is how you pronounce it. He says good morning. He's down in the Haven. Jason Leeser says good morning all. Skies of Fire says morning everyone.
Hey, Kyle.
I haven't seen Jason in quite a while. I guess I haven't been on. Jason's still doing his morning show. Is he doing a morning show or afternoon show? Right?
He does 1:00 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. So it's going
Field building
regularly.
Sundays.
And there's a lot of great conversations. The last couple of weeks, Seth is awesome, and his name is typed out on the screen there. He's been joining, and it's that's good. He does it religiously, and then Ricardo does his on 10:00 on Tuesdays.
Oh, nice.
Those have been a lot of fun. Yeah, I
Wow.
really enjoy the Tuesday mornings with him.
Yeah,
like a lot of the new reinventing people are joining. But just so anybody watching, these are open drawing groups for everybody. If you are a tattooer or an artist of any ilk, you can join in and zoom in. And it's like a big drawing group. It's exactly what it is. Thank you, God, for making sure they happen.
yeah. Those were I did before we started the Tattoo Weekly. I did one with you guys on Monday mornings, and I really enjoyed it. It got me going, drawing early. But I ended up not drawing as much. I ended up talking more than drawing, but it was still a lot of fun, to see what other people were working on for the week. And it's kind of cool to get up, on a Monday morning when most tattooers don't tattoo Mondays. So, those who are up at 8:00 in the morning and already drawing are kind of motivated, to get better, it seems like.
Yeah. Kier took it on for a while, but sadly, the Monday morning 9:00 drawing group is currently seeking a host. So if you're up at 8:30 in the morning and want to host, it wasn't due to lack of interest. There's lots of people that are missing it, and I'm usually
maybe
around.
We could talk to one of the guys in London or something like that, where it's a 6-hour difference, and they're definitely more into their day.
Absolutely. Well, there we go. Maybe we'll see. Are we ready to get to talk NFTs? We did talk a little bit about NFTs last week with Jesse. And what was the other guy's name?
Jason.
So, thank you.
Jason.
Yeah. We have our final episode coming out with those guys this Friday. I missed a week being out of town last week, so it should have come out last Friday, but the final episode of our NFT series will come out this week. But we're going to tackle some of the same stuff that our guest today is going to talk about, actually the process of getting a wallet set up and buying an NFT.
Yeah, cool. It was one of those things where I was chatting with him a couple of days ago with Sean, and he's always been, pretty techie or techie oriented, right? Like I met Sean in 93, 94, and realized pretty quickly that I could, help him with some computer stuff, and he was tattooing me and doing like a lot of the birds that are on my arm here, and so it was great. I got an email or a notification somehow across the web sphere. Notice that Sean was releasing 10 NFTs, and they were going to be good for, I think, 10% off. I don't want to speak for him, but they were going to be good for a discount off of the tattoos. So for collectors, they'd be pretty attractive. For clients of the shop that are already getting large work, it would be pretty cool. And then there's mechanisms in it so that when someone wants to transfer this NFT to somebody else, they can. And I believe there's even some programming rules so that, I don't know exactly what Sean will talk to about it in depth, but point being is, I was like, this is a way to use an NFT that I could really understand as that connection, right? Because the NFT is a unique key. It's basically like a receipt, and then a lot of people are like, what the fuck? Well, you could just say a receipt's worth $1 million. And you're like, well, no, not the receipt, but what it is that you exchange for it might be, and but this
Yeah.
is a real good solid way. And so I caught up with him and he was like, hell yeah. He's just getting over recovery too. He's been tattooing. He had some surgery, but anyways, so
Okay.
if you have some questions, feel free to put them out in the chat room. I'm going to unmute or ask to unmute, and Sean, oh, you know how to do it already.
I'm
All
there.
right.
Hey,
All
Sean,
right.
how goes
Hey
it?
guys.
Hi, Sean.
Hi,
Good
how
morning.
are you?
Great.
Okay, so do you want to start off with a bit of an introducing yourself? I'm not quite sure how to, like, I know so much, and my introduction for you would go on 25 years. So,
Yeah, you did
Yeah.
pretty good. You did
okay,
pretty good.
voila. Awesome.
So my name's Sean O'Hara. I own Dark Side Tattoo in East Haven, Connecticut. I've been tattooing for, oh God, I don't really want to say over 30 years. And yes, Gabe and I have a good history. We've been friends a long time. So he came to me with this, hey, what are you guys doing with these NFTs? This sounds cool. And I was like, I don't really know how to answer that. When you say NFTs these days in the tattoo community, people kind of get a, oh no, not one of those guys type of feeling. And I think that's got a lot to do with the fact that NFTs are a bit misunderstood, mostly because the technology to create them happened before the need for them. So they've been used primarily for fad art, kind of, it's like the hula hoop of this century, and the idea is that in the future they were mostly created for the storing of information, such things as legal documents, titles to houses, titles to cars, and they're not being used for that yet. So people are creating stupid little animations or characters and selling them for thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
which really makes no sense to most of us.
Now, real quick, I don't want to interrupt while you're going, but like
Go ahead.
that's one of the parts that really interests me, especially as artists, to be used as a copyright. Now, is it not being currently used like that because it's not recognized by like copyright office, or is it just not implemented yet, do you think?
It's not implemented yet in a sense that it's still a decentralized currency, right? So it's not adopted by our country, for instance, at all. So to create and mint an NFT legally doesn't really do you much good at this point. And maybe at some point our government or our society will decide that, hey, minting an NFT creates a copyright or creates a title to a home or a title to a car or a legal document in court as a decision that's final. But right now, it's just kind of for fun, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and there are still we're in the middle of a 3-part series with some artists who are going through and creating their own NFTs, and it is still in its baby phase, and there are still a lot of hurdles. One of the biggest ones being the instability of the underlying currencies and things like that. Just valuing these things is nearly impossible whenever cryptocurrencies have these wild swings in value. So there are a lot of stability issues right now, like there are with any new technology though.
Absolutely. And that's got a lot to do with why cryptocurrencies haven't been adopted so much as real currency, is that take an NFT, you make a digital picture and you want to sell it for $100, and then tomorrow it's worth $45. And a week later, it's worth $200. So that fluctuation makes it kind of difficult for anyone to see any value in using it as currency. But I think it's a great way for artists and tattoo artists to sell their digital art. Digital art has really taken over the industry in the past 5-10 years with everyone drawing on iPads and using Procreate and creating these great pictures. Not on canvas, just on their iPad. And how do you sell that? How do you sell that for any real value? And I think, creating NFTs for artists is a good way to market their work and get it out there and sell it digitally,
Yeah, and so many people think that that's really the end of it, but to your kind of earlier point, and Gabe, whenever you were making the introduction, your point, it's the utility of these things. And remember last week or a couple weeks ago, Gabe and Lauren, someone chimed in on the chat and said, "What's the difference between an NFT and just a digital logo?" And so that's kind of where people's mindsets are. Is like an NFT really isn't an image at all. It has, it can be tied. An image can be tied to it, but to your point, Sean, it's a contract. It's a smart contract.
Correct. It is. It can be used for more than images. It can be used for documents, for videos, sound clips. It is just a digital address that can be assigned ownership and value.
It's like somewhere between a key and a receipt. And because the code is distributed amongst all of the computers that are running the software, is that how, like, where's the computers that are running the blockchain software?
That blockchain, the ones
is that like inside of these wallets where there's this computation happening? Is it just like a thousand people that say I want to run it on my computer?
Well, it's almost kind of, for instance, similar, I guess, to a website. Everyone can see it, right? But you own it. You're able to edit it. You're able to transfer it. You're able to, to assign ownership to it, even though the world is able to view it. I mean, NFTs are once you buy one, it doesn't go into your wallet and no one can ever see it again. It's still available for viewing on that marketplace.
Right. I guess, and I don't know, maybe my question might be a little bit more geeky, but like one step or two steps later back, inside of this blockchain, we talk about how it's distributed, how, like all the computing is distributed. And I guess I'm just wondering technically, like which computers are running the blockchain, encryption and decryption software. But that might just be a weird question that doesn't make a difference at this point.
I mean, I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but any question's valid. I mean, I know a lot of people are very new to the world of cryptocurrencies and how they are transferred and used and bought and sold and all that. There's a number of websites and apps out there now that link to blockchains and allow you to transfer ownership and assets.
Actually, speaking of, you sent over an awesome email. Should we maybe start looking at some of these websites? And I have a bunch of them fired up here. So
sure. Gabe, I would just like to add before we go that route, that there are real world uses for NFTs as we sit here now, and that's what I've been trying to do as this creator of this little set of NFTs is not just create some artwork for someone to buy and say, hey, I own this artwork, this is cool, but to actually have some use for it. And I had been speaking with a developer on a crypto team about some real world uses, and he was like, there's some country clubs, some exclusive country clubs that now their membership is NFTs, and it kind of got me thinking, like, what can we do with ours that makes it valid, that makes it have some kind of value to someone purchasing it. And like you had mentioned in kind of the preview to this, that we're offering, owning this NFT gives you 10% off tattoos while you own it. So if you're getting a back piece, the whole time you're getting it, you can get 10% off each sitting. And then when you're done, transfer it to someone else and kind of get your money back for that NFT. Meanwhile, you had saved however much, at 10% off. So it has some kind of use. And I think that's where, the future of it is now, is that they need to have some kind of value to someone, and that's what we're hoping to accomplish with this. But yeah, we can talk a little bit about how to go about getting into this, and kind of see where that goes.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to walk through the process. I went through myself and set up. I already had I'd been investing very minimally, but I've been investing in crypto for the last year or so. So I went ahead and set up a MetaMask wallet recently and transferred from my Coinbase over to my MetaMask and got on and set up an account on OpenSea and connected everything. So I got all the way to the point where I could pull the trigger. And then I'm like, well, I don't know what I want to buy.
Yeah, exactly. And I am in the same boat. Like I have been investing and learning about crypto investing for probably the past 5-6 years, since Bitcoin's kind of last boom about 5 years ago. And I have all that set up as well, and an OpenSea account, and I've looked through there, and I'm like, why would I don't really want to buy into this stuff, I have some friends in the tattoo industry that have created some NFTs, and that may be a future purchase of mine because it means something to me. But yeah, I look through there and I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that it took me a while, we were well into the series that we've been doing on Fireside on NFTs before I realized what they meant by the marketplaces like OpenSea being secondary markets. And in order to actually, those are NFTs that have already been minted. Right. And that's all done through the white paper, the people who are actually pitching the NFTs on the front end. It took me, I don't know, an hour and a half of talking about NFTs and that being said to me several times before I realized like, oh, those are already, I'm like buying used NFTs now. I get it. It makes more sense.
Well, when you mint it becomes a part of the blockchain. Prior to that is kind of the creation phase, where it's editable, where it is owned and only available to you. But once you mint it, it becomes kind of a solidified product and actually assigned to that address on that blockchain, at which point you can sell it, you can transfer it, you can, do what you want with it. And there are NFTs on OpenSea that are not yet minted. You can make offers on them. They don't have like a buy now button, but they do have a send an offer to the creator, at which point he would have to mint it to sell it to you.
Real quick. So like the minting process in my mind, again, as a programmer, I'm trying to figure out how to cross, like when people hear minting, what the fuck do you mean minting this? And then when you have it, it's a thing that's connected. But what that minting is it's really the computing power that is creating like a unique set of code for this connection, for this piece that we're making, correct? So when you're saying minting, it's basically the computer, and that's where the environmentalists are like, how much power does that take? And we don't need to necessarily get into that. I'm just trying to figure out the particulars and how to fucking buy one of these things.
The minting process is simple. It's in terms that you would easily understand. It's like publishing the website on Tattoo Now.
Right. So a unique one that only has one key if we want to give it away, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when you create it, it is given an address, right? A unique address. And when you mint it, you're like publishing it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So what I was thinking about, the computing power to create that has been happening before minting. So what happens before minting?
Well, it's like a creation process. It's kind of like working on the back end of a website where you're
clickety
putting up the
and
pictures you want, you're putting up the text that you want. You're doing a little bit of layout, you're able to edit it and go back and say, oh my God, I misspelled something. And then when you hit publish, like you would
on a site,
on a website that you own or whatnot, and then it becomes viewable and live and solidified to the rest of the world.
Boom.
I don't know as much about the back end as you guys, but one thing that I believe is true whenever you mint. So remember last week or a couple weeks ago with Jesse, we were talking about the kind of generative capabilities. So there are different characteristics and there are different rarities with a lot of these things. So that can affect the value after it's minted. Correct. So the big thing with some of the famous ones like the Bored Apes, for example, there are a certain pair of sunglasses that an ape might wear that might only occur 3% of the time whenever it's minted. Another characteristic might occur 75% of the time. And so when you mint it, you don't really know what you're getting whenever you buy it and it's not minted. And then once it's generated, it generates, I believe, randomly based on those percentages. And then you may end up with a very common NFT, or you may end up with something that's pretty rare. But it doesn't, if I'm understanding this right, and Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't affect your cost, but you may, it's kind of like buying a box of baseball cards for $20 and hoping there's a $5,000 Mickey Mantle in there.
Right. And it's all supply and demand with those things. Like take Bored Ape, for example. There's thousands of them, and who knows which one of those 1,000 is going to be the one that everybody wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the one that gets the most hype. You know, and like you said, it's like buying a pack of baseball cards, and then you got the pack with the good one in there. These are all uses for NFTs, which I don't really see as having a future or value.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Like the hula hoop, I don't know if Bored Apes will be worth tens of thousands of dollars in the future. But apparently they are now to some people.
It seems like it. And that also, another kind of piece of this equation is this whole metaverse kind of idea where people are creating these spaces. And the more that we live in a virtual reality, maybe there is some value to hanging a virtual Bored Ape on your living room wall where people, I don't know. I think that's a generation below ours.
But also that's that could be used instead of hanging it on your wall. Like you'd have it as your, Facebook, and well, not Facebook now, I'm showing my age, but as your TikTok icon, right? Or as your next whatever the fuckish icon.
Probably
like
so, yeah.
if like, and I know that Twitter's doing it now, where you could have like a Twitter icon or whatever. So it's not like everyone could have the same, I'm against the next war icon as their Facebook page, like I do. It would be like I have the NFT to this picture. I'm the only one that could have this icon.
Right. Yeah. And it can represent Jason So in our series, he gave a pretty interesting example that I hadn't thought of. But let's say that you own a Lamborghini in real life and you get for buying a new Lamborghini, you get this NFT. And it's actually kind of just a badge that when you're in your virtual world, it shows everyone, hey, I actually do it. I mean, you can't see my Lamborghini right now, but I actually have one. So it's a way to kind of flex what you have in the real world as well. So there are a lot of, there are a lot of layers to it.
Yes, it's very ego driven.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is very ego driven.
Yeah. But back to the utilitarian-ish kind of things, having a core crew of collectors, right? And again, so and when you were talking about the value of the NFTs going up, like in the case of the tattoo shop, like if in 10 years, 10% off the tattoos is worth 200% more, right? So every, all of a sudden, the demand goes up, you're now, $300, $400, I don't know, whatever. But the value of that NFT then goes up. If somebody's trying to sell the NFT to pass it on, and now the tattoos are all worth more, then that NFT itself becomes worth more.
And one thing that would make that valuable to the artist who issued the NFT to begin with, rather than just selling the thing and giving 10% off of tattoos to any random person who bought it for life, is each time that it transfers, it's often built into these smart contracts that the artist gets paid again some percentage. So you continue to get paid as it sells.
Yes, correct. And you can set that percentage up to 10%. And we plan on doing a digital art gallery of NFTs with all the artists in the shop, maybe creating a few, digital NFTs for sale. We just started with this idea and see where it goes,
Well, hey, let's maybe go through, we have about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Ideally. So maybe we could start hammering through some of the finer points, right? Like, are there a couple different places to go to download the right things, and then where to go to buy the stuff? And, and I have some of these links, and again, that email will kind of help translate that into the notes of this, because it was pretty awesome.
Oh, well, thank you.
Very thorough.
Well, I was hoping it was thorough, because you were like, hey, I need a kind of a storyline of how to go about this, and I'm like, oh boy, I haven't done this in a while, so I just kind of typed it out. A little bit of editing, but I think we did good.
Oh yeah, great.
So yeah, I mean, basically, you need to start with somewhere to transfer your money to cryptocurrency, and I'm going to use Coinbase as an example. Not that I'm going to promote Coinbase or it's the only way. It may be the easiest way though. So if you download the Coinbase app, right, and then click through the steps to set it up and create account. and link a payment method, that's kind of step one.
And wait, and when I was doing this yesterday, you're right, it doesn't take long, but it did ask me a couple of sensitive questions where normally my knee-jerk reaction is go fuck yourself. I'm not going to tell you who my mother's name or like my social security number. But then you were like, yo, dude, we're talking about money and like
it's like opening a
investments and
bank
stuff.
account. They most of them require a lot of personal information, as well as many times uploading photo ID, social security numbers. But I mean, these companies have been around for a while. You go with the bigger ones. Personally, I mean, I can't speak for everyone's own sense of security, but that's just what's required.
Sure. And again, like you're not vouching for Coinbase, but the fact is it's one of the larger ones. If it all fell
Correct.
apart in a
It
house
is
of
the
cards,
largest
you'd be like,
one for sure.
what was that?
It is the largest one for sure.
Coinbase is.
I mean, it's listed on New York Stock Exchange. It's a big company.
Well, and frankly, it's not like the banks, and then the other counter argument is, well, banks are secure. And it's like, no, they're not. Those fucking hackers get in that shit all the time. All that information just goes to the highest bidder if it doesn't just fucking fall off the fucking back of the wagon. Anyways.
Right.
Okay, Coinbase. Let's see. I've got another.
Yes. So you want to go, you're going to need that app if you're going to go through Coinbase, right? So download the Coinbase app, set it up, link a payment method. That's step one. The next step would be to download the Coinbase wallet app. It is a separate app. And you can do that on either smartphone on a desktop. If you have Google Chrome, there's an extension for it. And the difference is that the wallet app is where you store and transfer these securities and are able to buy and sell. So once you would download the wallet app and set that up, there's links on there to link it to your previously set up Coinbase account, and it's pretty straightforward. They're usually pretty easy. And I will say that if you go on their website, they have great tutorials on how to do any of that if you get stuck. And then once you have your wallet set up, now you're going to need some currency to buy an NFT, right? So that's where you might, it's a bit of a learning curve. So if you go on, let's say OpenSea, which we've been talking about, most of the NFTs, well, all the NFTs that are for sale have a price. We'll talk mostly about Ethereum. I think that's the starting point, although there are other network other network coins that you can buy NFTs in. But for Ethereum, let's say, for instance, you use an example, you want to buy an NFT that costs 0.5 Ethereum, right? So that's half an Ethereum. And if Ethereum's current value is, let's say, 2,800, then you need $1,400. So you're looking to buy.
We've got Android Jones here. Can we,
okay.
I wonder how would I see if any of these are actually for sale? Status by now.
You can. So you can offer, I think, on any of it. Some will show for
right.
sale.
So.
Price
so
history.
There is make an offer, but we want to stay away from that. If you just go to OpenSea's main page, just click on the OpenSea button at the top, right, and then go to Explore. All NFTs, art, whatever you like.
We'll stick with the art for now, understanding that this is a future copyright utility.
Sure.
Yeah.
You just click on any of them, and you can kind of see how they're priced.
There's the Angry Ape. So I guess we'll start with number one here because it's number one. What do we got? Beeple.
Gotcha. Okay, so scroll up so you can see some of these NFTs.
They're down, yeah.
Right. So, all right. So here you've got some quite pricey NFTs that you clicked on. Okay. So this one is $72,000.
Because it's just about 25 Ethereum.
Ethereum, yes.
Ethereum.
Right. And it gives you the cash price next to it. It gives you the little conversion. And this is an odd example because you don't usually see them priced this high. They're normally 0.1, 0.01, 0.25.
We picked literally the top one.
We literally picked the most expensive NFTs on there, but
Let's see. So price low to high. This is still well. Again, this is because this is
yeah,
a
this
fucking
one
badass
they're all
motherfucker.
this
Holy
expensive
shitballs.
on this.
And that's okay. Well, how about we
But
look
this
up?
is people. I mean, it's a a famous artist who's.
Should we look at yours right now?
We
or,
could look at mine.
Okay.
So there's mine. And our floor price, they're all priced at a quarter of Ethereum, which right now is probably about $600-700.
Where would I find the price of Ethereum? Do I just do a
So
search for that?
Okay, so I put it in the links that I sent you, but if you go to Etherscan, or just
Or even your Coinbase will show that. That's where
yeah,
you're
you
buying
can
it.
see it. But yeah, you can really just Google Etherscan gas prices you want down there.
Yeah.
I really tried to point to something. Yeah, Etherscan gas tracker. So in the top left corner is the current Ethereum price, right? 2,900. And then if you look down a little bit, it shows you the fee schedules too, and it'll show your OpenSea fees are usually about $20. You're a little higher. Go up a little higher there.
That's the transaction price for
Those are
actually
your
buying the
transaction
NFT.
prices. So you kind of have to add that in. So if you want to
Mhm.
buy an NFT that costs $100, you're going to need $100 plus the transaction fee of approximately on OpenSea right now $22.
Mm. Okay.
So those are the things you need to keep in mind before you figure out how much money you're going to commit to this Ethereum purchase to buy that NFT. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
So it's 0.25 times the what was it? Oh, shit,
Well, if you
now I-
scroll down, well, now you went past it. So if you scroll down, right, you can click on one of these.
It'll show it to you right there.
It'll show you. So I don't know why it's loading at 0.5, but
But you can make
it should load at 0.25.
Well, maybe that one was already purchased. Maybe that was one that was.
No,
nope.
So
there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So there it'll
So-
tell you the price, and plus you're going to need about at least $22.
Yep.
I would always suggest to go a little higher. You don't want to run out of money in the middle of a purchase because it will eat up the processing fee, and you won't buy anything.
Mm-hmm. Right. You'll be yeah. And now, so let's. Do you want to talk about the specifics? We have just a little bit of time left. So now people know they can go to Coinbase, set up an account, which is like a bank account with all that information.
Right.
Yeah,
And they
can,
go.
can I clarify just that a little bit real quickly?
Yeah.
Just because whenever that first happened, when I first set up a Coinbase account, and then I found that I had to have a Coinbase wallet, or we talked about MetaMask earlier. I didn't understand the need for so many different third parties, a wallet, the Coinbase account, and then also the OpenSea marketplace. And the way that I finally made sense of it in my own mind is if you were to open an investment account, say with Fidelity or TD Ameritrade, you're investing through there, you're buying, you're transferring dollars to Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever. That's your investment account where you're hoping to gain a return. You typically wouldn't buy something off of Amazon, your groceries from Amazon, from your TD Ameritrade account. You would have to cash some of that out, pull it back to your regular bank account, where you could then go to Amazon and buy paper towels or whatever. So essentially, Coinbase is TD Ameritrade. The Coinbase wallet or MetaMask is your bank account or an actual wallet that you can use, and then OpenSea would be Amazon.
Yeah, I like to use the analogy of Coinbase being like your bank account and Coinbase wallet being like your debit card.
There you go. Yeah.
Because you can't really buy or sell anything out of just Coinbase itself. You need that wallet app to make purchases on sites like OpenSea or any NFT site or any crypto site really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool.
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's give us the straight the facts. So if you're a client of DarkSide, and it looked like they were running between 750 and maybe the other one was already purchased or something, was 1,000.
I think it was
again,
a
if
glitch. They
somebody's
should all
getting-
be about 750.
Okay. If they get sleeves or back pieces or large work, or they actually receive some of the money back as they transfer it, I don't know. Anyways, this is our final minute to
All right, so I mean,
minutes.
I guess look at it like this. So this is to reiterate, our plan with these going forward is that the average back piece may cost you 10 to 15 grand over the course of a year or two, or however long it takes to get done. If you spend, say, $700 to save at the most 1,500, so you're doing good. And then at the end of it all, when you're done with this back piece or just getting tattooed in general, let's say you sell it for exactly what you paid for, a quarter of an Ethereum. Well, a quarter of an Ethereum today is $729. A quarter of Ethereum 2 years from now could be a whole lot more. You may end up selling it for a tenth of Ethereum and still making money, but you're basically getting that initial investment back that allowed you to save 10% off of this tattoo, and you get the ego bragging rights of, hey, I own one of Darkside's NFTs, and you could put that
and for the first
thing
round,
on your Facebook and be like, hey, I own this.
And for the first round,
there's definitely some validity to the desire to do that, apparently.
Well, and you also have, at least for the first round, your investment's covered. I mean, you might even have like double your investment covered, and then if you could turn it around, then some. To your point, like even if and again, because it's like you're dealing with like currencies and investments, so
Right.
But so you have the opportunity to potentially earn off the investment or not.
Right.
But the actual initial round is almost a no lose if you're planning on large work.
And that was my goal here, because most of the people that are investing in NFTs today are doing it for investment. They're buying Bored Apes for a little bit of money and hoping that the buzz goes up and the fad expands and it's worth tens of thousands of dollars next year. That being said, what's it worth today? It's really not worth much of anything, at least with something with a real world value, like we've created. Whether you make money off of buying our NFT in the long run, at least you were able to recoup that investment. If you're getting tattooed, on a regular basis, you'll easily recoup, $700 over the course of a year or two, So that was the plan.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, from a client standpoint, with large work, it seems like a no-brainer. The math is pretty simple. Even if Ethereum went to zero by the time they finish their tattoo, if it's a $10,000 bag piece, then they, then they saved whatever, $1,000 paid or saved, I guess, $250.
And then Sean, I'm sure it was intended because you're pretty clever, but to have somebody with a fucking sick back piece being like, hey, anybody want this very successful NFT? I mean, that's how that stuff rolls and gets going. So it's I mean, I guess it's always like that in some ways. The tattoo itself inherently becomes or could become, whether they like it or not, it becomes a marketing vessel for their artists, because that's exactly what floors people.
Yeah, that's what I hope that artists will think about, is just using it as right now for a new way to kind of interact with your clientele, with your audience, with your fan base, or whatever you whatever you want to call it. Eventually, it will just take the place of a lot of the things that we're already doing, and we'll never know the difference between an NFT and a contract that you took to an attorney and had written up. But that'll whenever people, and we've had a little pushback. I know in the Tattoo Weekly show a couple of weeks ago, someone said something about this being a waste of time, and I've had a few people comment along those lines in our series. But these new technologies always seem like that until they until they become useful and take the place of something that was inferior. So
and like I had said in the beginning, like the technology was created before the use. So right now you have Bored Apes, and hopefully someday we can see some real uses for these things, and real uses in the in the tattoo community that can work for people and work for our clients.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun, and Yeah, I think we do have to kind of wrap it up, but it seemed like people enjoyed in the chat room. There's more people watching now than when we started. So that's always good.
That's good. You didn't chase everyone away. That's good.
Yeah, all of the NFT, like I'm unsubscribing because you're talking about NFTs. Well, you just don't have to watch this one or
Yeah.
these. That's okay.
I was telling Lauren before we came on, it reminds me a lot of whenever we first started doing pin style rotary machine reviews and stuff.
I heard
10
that.
years
Yeah,
ago.
I was watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
I use them now exclusively.
Right, me too. Yeah, so like they're by far the biggest selling kind of machines these days. But whenever we first started talking about them, you can go back and look at old YouTube comments where people were just bashing us for even bringing them up. So,
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. Just before you go, one last plug, because almost forgot. I didn't forget. I just remembered. Sean, you have an email address set up specifically for questions about this.
Sure. So it is nfts@darksidetattoo.com. And I can give you a little bit more direction or answer some questions if anyone has them. You can also check out our website. It gives a little bit more information on what we're doing. It's darksidetattoo.com. And our Instagrams, I'll throw those out there too, at Darkside Tattoo Studio and at Tattoo Sean O'Hara.
Awesome. And
there it is.
There we go.
So yeah,
There's
there's
the
a little blurb there in the news on NFTs, and I'll be adding to that a bit some of the stuff that we spoke about in that email.
Awesome.
A little bit more information.
And definitely. Lastly, Cole's been in the chat room. Shout
Hi,
out to Cole
Cole.
for watching. I'm glad you
My
hooked up
wife
with,
is too. Hi, babe.
Awesome.
I
Perfect. Cool.
think
Okay.
too, like, I hope that everybody watching this will kind of, even if it's not applicable in today's realm, there's so many different ways from a business aspect, from a personal aspect, that you can really utilize these things. So I think it's really great. Thank you, Sean, for kind of enlightening me, Jake and Gabe as well. Appreciate it a lot.
Welcome.
There's definitely a lot of ways to utilize these in the industry that are not just graphic design and art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One day they'll be so useful, it'll be too boring to talk about.
Exactly.
Nice. Or the I swear the AI-driven 3D printed wet brain the size of a warehouse will probably be able to break the code. But until then, awesome. We'll catch up soon, everybody. Thanks again, and thanks, Sean.